one and all, and welcome to Volume 3, Episode number 3 of the all-new original team-by-team preview series brought to you by NFL Talk. Now, today in the show, we're going to keep things down in the AFC South and preview one of the more prominent up-and-coming teams in the National Football League this year, the Jacksonville Jaguars. They're a nice young team that is looking to bounce back from a 5-11 season, another losing season. They haven't been that terrific as of late, to say the least. So we're going to preview them and take a look at how bright the Jaguars' season outlook is heading into 2016. But before we do so, I have another big announcement. It's technically my fourth, not my second, because I really gave you guys 3 yesterday instead of 1, like I promised. Later today at 2:30 p.m. Eastern Time, I will be having my first live YouTube mock draft. And now this might come as a surprise to some of you because I didn't really advertise it that loudly. So I'll be doing a second one later in the year as well. Sometime maybe early September or later this month. This first one is going to be simply a snake draft auction, and then later I'll be doing an auction draft, so you guys are going to want to check that out as well. But tomorrow, or later today, I guess, I'm recording this Saturday, at precisely 2:30, or roughly rather, just join me on the NFL Talk YouTube channel. Subscribe while you're at it, and I'll be taking questions as well throughout the draft. I'm going to do this mock draft on ESPN. So I encourage you guys to check that out. This podcast I'm going to be releasing at about 7 a.m. On Sunday. So in about 7 hours or so, if you guys are listening to it right after I released it, then just search NFL Talk with Caleb Steindale on YouTube. Subscribe and join us live. We'll be doing a broadcast. So, like I said, I know I didn't give you guys a lot of forewarning regarding this. So I'll be doing another one, but this is the first one, and I hope I can get the word out for people to subscribe to the channel, because I don't have any subscribers. I have more followers on other social media. But I encourage you guys to check that out. So join us later today. Hope you will. Alright. Time to jump right in to today's preview, where we will be talking about the aforementioned Jacksonville Jaguars. Did you know the Jaguars scored just 35 first-quarter points in 2015? Did you know that? Because I didn't. Jaguars were horrendous in the fourth quarter. One reason why Blake Bortles was such a solid fantasy asset. Blake Bortles' numbers. Blake Bortles went 355 of 606 for a completion percentage of 58.6%, with 4,424 yards, an average of 276.8 yards per game. He had 6 300-plus yard games, 35 touchdowns, and 18 picks. He added 310 yards on the ground. Now, why was Blake Bortles not revered as a great NFL quarterback? Because those numbers seem pretty solid to me. I'll tell you why. A, because the Jaguars still stank, and it doesn't matter if it's the quarterback's fault or not. If the team performs poorly, it's blamed on the quarterback. It's just the way the NFL goes. You can like it or not, but it's the unwritten laws of the National Football League. And it wasn't Blake Bortles' fault. It was the defense's fault. I'm just going to go out there and say it. The second reason is Bortles turned the ball over 23 times last year. He lost 5 fumbles and threw 18 interceptions. Also not good. And that's an even bigger reason. You turn the ball over, you don't win football games. But Bortles was such a good fantasy quarterback last year. because of his ability to throw passes late in the game, to score touchdowns late in the game. It's all about that junk time, baby. Which is why Blake Bortles was the best fantasy quarterback. That was pretty bad in real life. That's kind of an awkward way to put it, but that's the only way I can think of. But I love Bortles for fantasy this year. He is one of my top sleeper quarterbacks, and he's not going to be much of a sleeper this year anymore, seeing as how he broke out last year. So more people know his name. Bortles has been doing some smart things recently. According to Roto World, he's been seeking off-season advice from Aaron Rodgers and Carson Palmer. Bortles said, quote, "One of the things that Aaron said was don't try and score 21 points every time you have the ball," unquote. Bortles also said that Carson Palmer told him to, quote, "build chemistry and rapport," unquote, with his teammates. Two of the greats, two solid pieces of advice. I expect the Jaguars will have a very good 2016 NFL season. And it's not just riding on Blake Bortles. No, there's a new guy on the block on offense for the Jaguars as well, and his name is Chris Ivory. But for fantasy purposes, this is a backfield that scares me. Because of that two-headed monster that is Ivory and TJ Yeldon. Ryan O'Halloran, I'm assuming that's how you say his name, of the Florida Times-Union, suggests that the carries could, quote, be split about 55-45 in the Jaguars' backfield this season. Yeah, that's not exactly promising. But we know that the Jags want to get him the football. They paid good money for him. But they also don't want to give up on their second-year man, TJ Yeldon. Jaguars reportedly could use a quote-unquote hot hand approach. A very scary fantasy term. We don't like going with the hot hand because that's unpredictable. For fantasy purposes, I really don't love either of them. And if you remember last year, where did TJ Yeldon especially struggle? In the red zone. He had just 2 rushing touchdowns and 1 receiving touchdown. And with Ivory getting even more of those goal line looks, look, you can only expect that Yeldon's rushing totals are going to go down. And his rushing totals from last year weren't even that good. 182 carries, 740 yards. That's just 62 yards a game. 2 rushing touchdowns, under 300 yards through the air, with a touchdown receiving. Ivory is looking to take over the starting running back spot, and there's not really much that TJ Yeldon can do about it, because the Jaguars want to get Ivory involved. That's one of their primary goals. Allen Robinson and Allen Hurns, I'm going to say it right now, will be the highest scoring fantasy offensive, wide receiver duo this year. They're just nuts. Bananas. And they both have incredible talent. I'm going to go ahead and give you their numbers from last year. And in my mind, these are numbers that are only going to improve as Blake Bortles improves. Okay, here's the numbers. From Allen Robinson, 80 receptions, 1,400 yards. That's an average of 87.5 yards a game. 6 100-plus yard games, and 14 touchdowns. Oh, here's Allen Hurns. 64 catches, 1,031 yards, 68.7 yards per game, 5 100-plus yard games, and 10 touchdowns. The numbers aren't that different. Look, Hurns ran most of his routes in the slot last season. According to Pro Football Focus, about 40%. That's his specialty. Allen Robinson, the deep man. That's a scary combination when they both have as much talent, when they both warrant double coverage consideration. A scary duo, the Allens are. And I'm going to watch out for them this year. Two guys I love. I love everyone in the Jaguars passing game. Even tight end Julius Thomas. Despite an underwhelming year last year, I think he'll definitely bounce back. Then you look at the defense. And the defense is not that shabby anymore either. Remember, the Jaguars were really bad last season on defense. A primary reason why they just kept giving Bortles the ball and, well, giving him garbage time. No, the defense is nothing to be laughed at either. Could they be a fantasy flyer? I wouldn't go so far as to say that, but they're definitely a solid look, at least. Malik Jackson, the newly acquired defensive tackle, had a stellar year for Denver last season. Telvin Smith, who also had an incredible season, 128 total tackles, 99 solo. He only put up 2.5 sacks. Also recorded an interception, which, incidentally, was returned for a touchdown. Jalen Ramsey, the rookie cornerback. We got Tashawn Gibson and Jonathan Cyprin, two new safeties. And then, of course, you got Dante Fowler as well, the defensive end. A redshirt freshman, a redshirt rookie, did not play last year due to an injury. The Jaguars' defense is scary. The Jaguars' offense is scary. So why don't I have the Jaguars making a playoff appearance? Because I think that 5-11 is a little bit too far of a jump to make. Also because I think that the Colts and the Texans have better shots, to be honest. I have the Jaguars going 9-7. That's 4 more wins than last year, a winning season. They're well on their way, and I think next year they'll be Super Bowl contenders. But I don't think it's this year. I don't think they're playoff worthy yet. Well, you know what? I think they're playoff worthy, but I don't think that given the situation in the division, because the division really looks like it's starting to more and more stacked. I prefer the Colts and Texans still. And to be honest, I think the Jaguars just have to gel as a team first before we consider them for the playoffs. My X factor is Chris Ivory, the new guy on the block. He looks like he'll be the anchor for the team's running game, and hopefully we'll be able to help Blake Bortles along and give him some more opportunities to throw the ball and give the receivers opportunities to get open, set up that play action. So I'm giving the X Factor award to Chris Ivory. All right, that's all the time we have for today. Remember, 2:30 p.m. on Sunday, a live YouTube mock draft on NFL Talk, the YouTube channel. I'll be doing another one later, maybe in a few weeks here. But don't forget to join us. We'll see you later today. It'll also be available on YouTube after the conclusion. Check us out, NFL Talk on YouTube, and at NFL with Caleb on Twitter. We will see you guys later today. Peace out, everybody.